You're listening to Cinematic Adventures, proud member of the Misfit Faction Media Network.
Good morning, Vietnam!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Badges? We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
You make me want to be a better man.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
He's looking at you, kid.
I've always depended on the kindness of strangers.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Would you be shocked if I put on something more comfortable?
You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You just put your lips together and blow.
I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cinematic Adventures. If you're listening to us on the go, you can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, and you can even tell Alexa, hey, play that podcast. Use ours by name, though. If you guys are joining us for the first time, thank you guys for listening. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Paul. With me tonight is Sean. Sean, how are you tonight?
I am extremely excited.
And why is that?
Because we're talking about Ronnie's favorite movie.
Now, speaking of Ronnie, if you guys have ever listened to our sister podcast, the Multiverse Fancast, you may recognize this guy who is actually decked out in so much Nightmare Before Christmas gear. Hot Topic offered him a job.
It's literally like a kid in Toys R Us right now.
And that's Ronnie. Ronnie, how are you tonight?
I'm good.
I know, you're very excited about this.
I am very excited. I am happy to be here.
We waited a whole year to do this for you, Ronnie.
Yeah, you guys are the best. I am going to show so much love to one of the greatest movies of all time.
Now, also because there was pizza and beer at my house, we have Rob here with us as well. Rob, how are you tonight?
Hi, everyone. I'm just here for the fun. I'm just thankful to be here.
It's because I didn't put enough of a break in between the podcast. It's fine. Logistically, it's fine.
They said I could leave, but I figured, this will be fun.
It's weird. We actually told him to leave. He's like, no, you guys need me. No, we're happy to have everybody here. It's very rare that we get all four people or all four podcast hosts in the same room and to record something where everybody's kind of at different levels of appreciation. So we're going to get into that. But first and foremost, Sean, tell us a little bit about the movie that we're going to be talking about tonight, because we're not doing news.
It's a little-known film. You know, we're kind of piggybacking off of our Tim Burton month. For anyone who hasn't listened, we did 4 Tim Burton movies throughout the month of September. And we're coming into, as Paul said, Halloween.
My favorite time of the year.
What makes more sense than to talk about The Nightmare Before Christmas?
But isn't it a Christmas movie, Sean?
See, depends on who you ask.
It is both.
Just like how Die Hard is a Christmas movie, but also not a Christmas movie.
There you go.
Because it's Halloween characters, but it's also Christmas themed. So it's both a Halloween movie and a Christmas movie. That's why you should be watching it from the months of September through January. And it would be okay to watch it, February through August as well.
Here we go, folks. Here we go. But Ronnie's right. It's both a Halloween and a Christmas movie, but for me, personally, I only ever watch it at Halloween. I'm going to be honest. I don't think I've ever actually watched it at Christmas time. I think I will change that this year, though.
I find that this movie has an underlying Halloween theme, and Christmas is more the lesson-building catalyst.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I've seen this movie obviously dozens of times. I love this movie. I do really enjoy this movie. I'm not a fanatic about it, unlike the guy wearing Nightmare Before Christmas socks right next to me. Wow.
And a shirt and Converse.
And oddly enough, Paul knows he's wearing his is that underwear of Nightmare Before Christmas?
No, Ronnie just took off his pants.
Know that?
He said he wanted to show me his Jack Skellington.
That's not underwear. That's
a different bone.
The Jack Skellington thong.
This episode is digressing really quickly. But
well, we all know that Ronnie and Jackie's wedding song is going to be, "What's This?"
That's what she says every day. What's this?
There's color everywhere. Well, it's funny you say that because
well played.
Producer Melanie and I, Sean won tonight. Producer Melanie and I, when we were rescheduling our wedding, because obviously COVID happened and we had to move our reception. I really wanted Halloween. I really wanted, because I'm a very big Halloween fan.
Why?
There's just something about
To have a costume party.
It's not even that. It's just that this is the time of the year where no matter who you are, you can still enjoy something that you enjoyed as a child with so much glee. Like even Rob, you have a son, you know.
So I've been told.
He looks
at least
just like
that's what
you.
the checks say.
That's what the checks say. But as you get older, a lot of those holidays become about the child.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for us, like we still go out for Halloween and we get to wear the costumes and enjoy the candy that we bought 3 weeks ago that we have to buy more of because that's just the way it rolls in our house. But for me, Halloween is just a very special time, and a time that I still enjoy, and it brings me back to my childhood. And yeah, costumes and nerdy stuff. I mean, we just did 2 podcasts on a Saturday night. We talked about Venom for like longer than the movie it was.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, Halloween is just a really fun time, and most Halloweens are not complete without certain movies. I will argue Hocus Pocus.
Yep.
Nightmare Before Christmas. The first Halloween Town, which is
You're
weird.
just talking about Disney movies here?
Yeah.
It's
right.
There aren't a lot of other like.
Well, there's the whole Universal Monsters. Yeah.
Which we did. We did
an
episodes
episode on.
Yep.
I mean, but then you get into your slasher movies. You get into all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think, again, there's those movies that define our Halloween movies, like this. Like, as you said, the Disney Channel original movie Halloween Town.
Yep.
You know, that...
That's not a Christmas movie?
No. Hocus Pocus actually takes place on Halloween.
Yep.
You know, there's your horror movies, which you watch at Halloween, but then there's your Halloween movies.
Like, I'm kind of disappointed that you guys have not mentioned It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
I was going to mention...
We weren't allowed to. Remember that we did that last year?
That was the bit.
That was when Apple bought the rights to all the Charlie Browns, and we were like...
Also, The Addams Family.
I was going to mention the movie that is about the holiday and is a slasher movie, Halloween.
Well, there you go.
But what's the movie? I don't get it.
So, this is Halloween.
Yeah.
Ah!
I see what you did there. But also, like, going back to what we were saying, there are plenty of movies that you can watch during Halloween, but also other times, like Scream. Scream is a horror movie,
but you can watch it any time of the year.
Yeah. So,
fun fact: it came out at Christmas when it first was released. So,
Whereas Nightmare Before Christmas came out a Halloween weekend.
Oh, it did.
Yes, it came out October 29th, 1993.
What a year!
See,
what
that's
a year!
Smart.
I was in college at the time, and I remember specifically dragging my floor because I lived on campus to see this film in the theaters, and they didn't all get it. Some of them liked it, some of them were like thought it was strange, and I was really into it at the time. I bought the CD down the street and everything, so it was like it doesn't resonate with me the same way it does with Ronnie, but I do really enjoy it.
Well, I'll be honest, I didn't enjoy this movie as a kid. Like, in all honesty, like I've grown to appreciate it as an adult. Okay, Ronnie, put the bottle down. But yeah.
But
can I see those shoes?
It's also 1993. We're 7 years old when this movie came out. You can honestly, there's an age preference for this movie.
This movie's very unique.
The fact that
the
fact that Disney put it under the Touchstone banner instead of the Walt Disney Pictures banner
shows exactly they knew what they had.
They were nervous. They weren't sure if this was gonna react well with little kids.
I really just got to stress the fact that I'm admiring Ronnie's shoes.
Oh, they're
in my
Vans.
hands right.
They're not.
They're
Vans.
Vans. They are like custom made Vans with images from the movie all.
I also have
them.
another pair of Vans.
They're
too.
really new because it still has the price on the bottom of this one.
I have another pair. Obviously, I can only wear one pair at a time, but I have another pair of Nightmare Before Christmas shoes. They're low tops. They got the black suede, but they're also on the side. It's what is it? One shoe has all the trick-or-treater, the 3 trick-or-treater kids on them as well, and like Oogie Boogie and stuff like that. So
this one on the inside, of both, it says "Nice work, Bone Daddy."
Yeah,
from the jazz singers. Yep, there. Very cool.
So let's we'll take a few steps back.
I'll take 2 steps forward.
Well, obviously Rob mentioned that he saw it in college. Sean, do you remember the first time you saw this movie?
I did not see this movie in theaters. I do remember.
Not wanting
to see it in theaters.
No, it didn't do well when it was in the theaters.
I'm not going to lie. I was probably scared. I remember it came out around the same time as the Addams Family sequel. And I did see the Addams Family sequel in theaters, but I did not see this. But the fun fact is, again, growing up, we had all the old Disney movies on video, and I'd say 80% of them at the beginning was a Nightmare Before Christmas trailer.
Yeah.
So, like, even though I didn't see the movie, like all those scenes were like ingrained into my forehead, in my head.
Did you own it?
No, never owned it.
Did you own it?
Fun fact, I watched it periodically at my cousin's house because they owned it, but I really didn't grow to appreciate it till I started working at the video store, and we would play it, nonstop because we only could play videos, VHS, and this is when there was only like.
I was just going to say about VHSs.
Yeah, there was only.
I thought I was the only one at the table that actually remembered VHS. I owned the black clamshell. Cases for the VHS.
We only could play VHSs, and really all the VHSs we had at the store at the time were Disney movies. So that's really where I kind of really gained my appreciation for this movie, because I really didn't understand it as a kid, or I really just didn't want to. But
yeah,
I missed out. I'll be honest. Yeah. I missed out.
I did not see it. I was 4 when this movie came out. Because it came out in 93, October 29th, 1993. So I just turned 4 a couple months before, so obviously I didn't see this in theaters. I think the first time I saw it, I was probably around the age of 10, I would say. Because I think it could be a little scary and jarring for...
Oh, there's some horrific images.
For younger kids,
guy walking around with an axe in his head.
Yeah, and then just Jack, when he pulls his face and he screams and everything, and then Oogie Boogie being stripped apart and the buzz call out of him and everything like that. Like it could be a little jarring for young kids. All my kids are going to be watching this the second they're out the womb, but no.
When your kids are born, you're going to be saying, "What's this? What's this?"
But I fell in love with it right away, obviously. And I watch it again every Halloween time. I watch it at least once.
Does your family currently have an appreciation that you have?
Yes.
Jacqueline and Kylie and
everyone?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we last year we watched it maybe twice or whatever, and we will sing.
They still love it?
Yeah.
The way they love it the way you love it.
I feel like not as much, but they do appreciate it and they do enjoy and like it. And we'll sing along to it. I'm sitting there, every word coming out is coming out of my mouth too. But I feel like this movie is just so catchy because it's like a musical. It's a sing-along musical.
Yeah, it's almost like an opera.
Yeah, which is weird because I hate opera, but something about this is just great. I think this is one of the best soundtracks / scores in a movie ever.
And to just think about where it lands, and I don't mean to cut Paul off when he was going to say when he first saw the movie.
Just about what my it's fine.
But
just my childhood.
Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
No.
Paul, when did you first see it?
So, I remember seeing it with my family, with my cousins for Christmas. It was a Christmas tradition for us, and I remember I couldn't finish it. I was too young. I was maybe 5 or 6, and I was so scared of Oogie Boogie.
He's terrifying.
He is a very scary character, like the neon light stuff that they do, or the black light stuff that they do, and just he's just terrifying. But it wasn't until the Kingdom Hearts series came out, the video game series, where they had Halloween Town as a playable level that I really was like, you know what, I need to reevaluate and I need to go back to this movie. And I do thoroughly enjoy this movie. It's a seasonal movie. It's a movie that when it's like Halloween / Christmas time, I'm like, now's the time. Like, I can put this on. It's like Ronnie said, from October to December, I'm very comfortable. Not maybe September to January, you fanatic.
Well, don't even get me started, because people start talking about Christmas and there's Christmas music before Halloween's even over. So don't even get me started on making this from September to January.
Don't go into Walmart, man. They got all their Christmas stuff up.
I know, and I hate that because I'm like
Home Depot.
I'm like it. At least get through Halloween.
Well, Halloween's July, dude. You gotta go.
So just for the record, I really just want to see.
Christmas is in July.
I want to see how many times I could trigger Ronnie during this episode.
No, we're not supposed to trigger Ronnie. Ronnie's supposed to be the heart of this episode.
No, is anyone else sweating right now?
No, because I love when Ronnie hosts. He's very on the ball. He's very meticulous. He's very organized. It's fun seeing him get all fired up.
He's like a fangirl right now.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
It's like me during every podcast.
And this is a 28-year-old movie.
Yeah.
That's
so,
insane.
For me...
And it still holds up.
It does still hold up. But for me...
Actually, I would say it holds up even more now than it did when it came out. I think it's only grown in popularity.
For me, like I was saying, just getting into the Kingdom Hearts series and having that re-exposure, like I can put on the soundtrack while I'm driving and sing along.
Mm-hmm. I have them on my phone. I have the songs on my phone.
What's This is in. If you're a Disney fan, you know What's This at least. If you're, and if you're a Tim Burton fan, unfortunately, people forget that this movie had a director and a screenwriter, and it wasn't all Tim Burton. Yes, it is considered.
We'll get into that.
We're going to talk about that.
We're gonna get into that.
It is a Tim Burton film.
Oh, absolutely.
And it has all of Tim Burton flavor in it.
Absolutely.
Like the visuals and especially the mayor. For some reason, the mayor is the most Tim Burton character for me. And obviously, as a kid, I didn't get, why does he have two faces? Now, as an adult, I'm like, politics. I get it. That's clever.
I love the lines like, I'm only elected official. I can't make decisions on my own.
Yeah. And then like the three kids, the lock, shock, and barrel. I was like, oh, okay, I get it as an adult now. But yeah, so for me, this movie, I aged into it. It wasn't like Rob saw it in theaters, as a little bit older than when I first saw it, and
I was 19,
and he had an immediate appreciation for it. Ronnie obviously fell in love with this movie.
Both you and me, it took us a little while to really, grow and respect the movie, but
because also this movie's unique in the fact that it's a Disney movie, but it's also not really a Disney movie.
Yeah.
It's a very unique animal in that regards, and it's only becoming more and more common where some companies are trying to go outside their genre, but then not to make fun of the Marvel movies, but then like you have like Marvel Studios, it's like, this is our formula, this is what we do. We don't usually go too far out of the norm.
Well, and it's funny you say that because going back to what Ronnie was saying, how it's one of the best soundtracks ever. Just look at where it falls in the line of Disney movies that were coming out at that time. You have Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Lion King, Hunchback. This falls right in the middle of that Disney Renaissance, and it also falls into the time where Disney was trying to attract the talent that they basically kicked to the curb back in like the 80s. Tim Burton was an animator for Disney.
Yeah.
Henry Selick was an animator for Disney. John Lasseter, the head of Pixar, who is no longer with Pixar, but the founder of Pixar, was an animator at Disney. They all were basically, left out and kicked out to dry because the studio didn't understand what they were doing.
Now, the 80s were a rough time for
Disney. So now Disney, those three men are now well respected, and they're doing good work. And now Disney's like, oh hey, come back to us and make us money. Basically,
it's like dumping a girl and then she gets like super gorgeous.
Yeah.
And
basically
successful.
At the same time, they make a deal with Pixar, John Lasseter, and they start making Toy Story. They contact Tim Burton. They're like, hey Tim, what do you want to do? Oh hey, I got this idea. Let's do this. Mm-hmm. But that's where this movie falls to me, and it's just it just shows just the quality of movies at that time.
It was the time.
Second to none.
I have a question. This came out as a Touchstone Pictures.
It was originally supposed to be.
Is it really?
It was originally. Yeah, no. It was originally supposed to be under the Walt Disney Pictures banner.
But they thought it was going to be too dark and everything, so they made it under Touchstone. Do you think that had any effect on box office, or do you think it's just because it was so like?
You're saying if it was labeled as a Disney film, would have done better?
If it was labeled as Disney, do you think it would have attracted a little bit more?
I don't think that would have made a huge difference. I don't think many people were that.
Yeah,
because that high on the subject that Touchstone was sort of Disney's dark.
Yeah,
well, Roger Rabbit was Touchstone,
right?
Yes, Roger Rabbit had some,
Also, Disney was not exactly like knocking them out of the park yet. Like at this point,
this is
they had done Mermaid,
Beauty
Aladdin,
and the Beast, and Aladdin,
and that was it. Like there was still,
that's three huge back to back,
but it wasn't like, oh, it's a Disney movie. Like because now when people say it's a Disney movie, there's a certain like gravitas that comes with that. Mm-hmm. Whereas back then it was building, but it wasn't quite there yet.
But also, you look at Disney movies at the time; they're all the hand-drawn animation, with the very slight touches of CGI at the time. Like in the Beauty and the Beast, isn't the ballroom?
Beauty and the Beast, the ballroom scene, Rescuers Down Under, that opening scene.
So they were still in that series of hand-drawn movies. So even
Pixar hasn't, Toy Story hasn't come out yet, so we don't know the 3D animation.
Yeah.
Really.
So you look at Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Nightmare Before Christmas. That doesn't look like it belongs there.
No, I agree.
Yeah, because stop
totally
motion
agree.
animation was for the most part dead at that point.
Well, that's I think it was a mixture of that and obviously the subject matter that scared Disney.
And obviously, we were at that point before the internet and before the big scrutiny of the media where, these movies weren't making trillions of dollars. And also, like, I couldn't just go online and word of mouth be like, this Disney movie is so good. Like, so we were at a unique time where you had to rely purely on word of mouth and critic reviews and your Roger and Ebert and stuff like that. So Roger and Ebert.
Roger and Ebert.
Yeah. I wonder if people got scared because it was the stop motion. It wasn't your regular animation you were used to at the time.
It was a risk. It was an absolute risk.
And also statistically, for holiday themed movies, your Christmas family movies are always going to be better than a Halloween kids movie. It's because it can go one of two ways. Especially back then, like kids were not as exposed to certain things as they are now. So the idea of a horror movie for kids was like, no. This was right before the big Goosebumps craze and stuff like that, where like we showed that kids could handle a certain level.
Was R.L. Stein popular when you guys were little? Or was
yeah. I mean,
Goosebumps was the thing.
And then the TV show was the thing.
TV show, Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, all of that.
Because he's the one that really opened up horror for kids.
Yes. And this was before R.L. Stein really hit it big with his.
Well, he had another series before Goosebumps, I think, like Fear Street or something like that, which I think it was 80s.
And then I think Netflix just did it.
Netflix just did it.
It was also Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Was that something you guys were?
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah, I don't remember reading much of that, but I remember those.
Because that was a huge. Growing up for me, that was a big banned book in a lot of places.
Yeah, we actually might still at my parents' house have a couple of those books because I used to read them.
Be careful.
I was going to say also, like stop motion animation was something that was usually regulated to like one of two things: either like the television Christmas specials,
Rudolph,
or like the Ray Harryhausen.
Sinbad,
Sean,
Jason and the
Sean's
Argonauts.
smiling with that. He knows what. About that.
Oh, I got it. I'm good.
You're on the wrong
the Clash of the Titans.
Clash of the Titans. Yep.
Rob doesn't know what podcast he's on right now. Sean's this is Sean's world.
It's nice to be finally around respectable people in a podcast.
Gonna really miss Rob on Multiverse Fancast. It's a shame. But so let's talk. I know Sean has touched base a little bit on it, but kind of the background of this movie and how it happens, and kind of just some of the more trivial and fun facts about it.
Fun fact.
Well, so obviously, as everyone knows, the story was written by Tim Burton.
It was a poem.
It was a poem, as Ronnie says. He
Back
actually,
in 1982.
Thank you.
What?
Sorry, go ahead.
Go.
No, I'm serious. He wrote it back when he was working at Disney. He had done his two short films, Vincent and Frankenweenie, at Disney, and that's when obviously the original, not the remake.
Oh yes, yeah.
I wasn't a fan of the.
Ronnie's got like Nightmare Before Christmas Tourette's. And that's not to downplay that severe disease, but like Sean's like talking, and I just see out of the corner of my eye, I see Ronnie.
I know that. I know that.
Sorry. See if Ronnie knows this because I don't know the answer to this. Was this before or after he wrote the Melancholy Death of Oyster Boy?
That I do not know.
Okay.
I mean,
I don't know that one either.
I know that the book came out in '97, but I don't know when he actually wrote that story.
Because this was written in 82, the poem. The poem was written in 82, before. So I'm sure it was before, but who knows?
But
he has this affinity for the outcast, rejected, sort of going against the grain individual that is kind of cool in their own way, but not according to society's standards.
Yeah. Obviously, Rob has not been listening to our Tim Burton podcast every week. I mean,
I know you did Sleepy Hollow last week. What did you do before that?
We did Sleepy Hollow. We did
Sweeney Todd. We did Ed Wood and the Batman and Batman.
Might as well just call it a Johnny Depp month with
pretty
a little
much.
bit of Michael.
Yeah, right. I look back and I'm kind of regretting that decision, but you know.
Well, it did lean into our Halloween theme.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad Johnny Depp is not a part of this week's conversation.
But so he wrote the poem back in '82 while he was still at Disney, and then obviously it drew inspiration from, as Rob said, the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, that type of storyline. And he wanted to adapt it into a television special with the narration spoken by his favorite actor, Vincent Price, who he would obviously go on to have a good friendship with. And obviously Vincent Price was in Edward Scissorhands. Obviously, he was let go by Disney in '84. He went on to become a very successful director with Beetlejuice, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Batman.
Don't forget Spielberg's Amazing Stories.
Oh, that's right. I forgot he
directed
directed
The Family Dog.
Yeah, that's right. And then he found out that Disney still owned the rights to the film, and him and Henry Selick committed to produce a full-length feature of the film with Henry Selick as the director. And Henry Selick is the forgotten man in all this, I think.
Yeah.
Isn't this his directorial debut?
I believe so. And then he also went on to direct James and the Giant Peach.
And Coraline.
Oh, it did in Coraline. Yeah.
It's funny because I don't like either of those two movies.
See, I wasn't a fan of James and the Giant Peach either.
I think I liked James and the Giant Peach as a kid, but again, same thing.
The rhino scared the crap out of me
when I was a kid. No, you know what scared the crap out of me in that movie? James's disproportionate head.
Yeah.
Just as a child, I was like, that's not how people look. I don't like it.
That movie came out right in my Roald Dahl phase. And I
saw that one in the theaters.
That movie for me would have been better if it was just live action the whole time. It's very jarring when it's
frightening.
Yeah, it is frightening.
It's creepy.
Yeah, I don't like. Okay, now I'm skeeved out. That's a horror movie.
Giant produce.
Giant produce.
Was Ronnie any other info you know of the background of that?
No.
All right.
Paul Rubens is in this movie.
He is.
Yes, he is. Yeah. Pee-wee.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the cast. We'll obviously start. Great cast, very good cast. Very
Paul Rubens. He's Locke.
Yes, he is. Well, I guess we're starting with Locke.
All right.
Well, you just mentioned Paul Rubens, and you went to cast.
Let's let Ronnie control the cast list. Go ahead.
I only have 7 fun facts about this movie, and you guys said 12 of them, so I don't know how that math worked out, but that's where we're at. So, Sean, you want to start off with the cast list?
Yeah. We got Chris Sarandon plays the speaking voice of Jack Skellington. The singing voice of Jack Skellington is done by the great Danny Elfman, for all you Oingo Boingo fans out there.
It's a dead man's party.
Weird Science.
So it's weird for me. I know Danny Elfman does music, but I always forget he sings.
Yeah.
Because whenever I think Danny Elfman, I think like the Batman soundtrack, stuff like that, or the scene in Family Guy. Oh, now we got to do this with Danny Elfman. Yeah. But
I always think of Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield.
That's a good one too. That's a good one too. But for me, I always forget that Danny Elfman is also, he sings. And Jack's songs, and we'll talk about the soundtrack as a whole. We'll kind of go through it because that's just fun. Jack has some great musical numbers in this movie.
Yes.
I would say What's This is probably my personal favorite, and we'll go around in a little bit and kind of talk soundtrack and favorites. But Jack, unfortunately, as an adult, I find Jack to be very unlikable.
Really?
I do. I really do. Like, because...
Hot take.
Yeah, a little bit of a hot take, but...
Spill the tea.
For me, like...
His tweet.
No.
I think Ronnie's either having a stroke or...
I'll explain. Jack does... He's supposed to be the hero of the story, and obviously he has to go through a learning curve, but the first, 2/3 of the movie, I'm like, Jack's not really likable. He's miserable, he's unhappy, he's not appreciative of what he has, but then he finally realizes it after he almost gets blown up by the U.S. military that Halloween's fun. And for me, Ronnie's so upset right now.
Ronnie, rebuttal?
No. But, don't get me wrong. He does have his hero moment, and when he takes out Oogie Boogie, it's awesome. And then he finally, he sees what he had all along, and it's a very Disney-type story for him. This is our podcast,
He's
Ronnie.
biting his tongue.
That's just my own personal opinion. I do...
Which is wrong. I'm just kidding.
It's weird how his microphone stopped working. I'm actively nervous, and this is my house. But just for me, I remember more as a kid, and as an adult, I do appreciate a complex character, and obviously, goes through a character arc and a story. But I remember even as a kid, I was like, is Jack the good guy? He kidnapped Santa. It's
because you've been brainwashed.
Well, technically, he didn't kidnap Santa.
No. He did not kidnap Santa.
This reminds me of...
This guy was very kind to the Easter Bunny. He was like, I'm so sorry,
So sorry, sir.
So sorry, sir.
But this reminds me of the scene in the Muppets movie where they kidnap Jack Black. What would be worse, destroying the Muppets or kidnapping Jack Black? Kidnapping Jack Black would be way worse. But
Ron, I got to hear Ronnie's point of view on
I
this.
am not done yet.
Oh,
come on! This is my podcast. So
no, it's not. It's Sean's.
It's Sean's podcast. We'll be honest. But for me, like I find Jack, especially in the very almost like just jarring in how he's very selfish, and like they all look to him for this leadership role. But it's all about him, and he's like, well, I'm miserable, so I'm going to change our entire town just because it'll make me happy, and I'm going to share this with everyone, and I'm the savior of this. And, obviously he does come around at the end, and he's like, you know what, I never needed the feather to fly, Dumbo. The magic was in me the whole time kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So that's just my own opinion. I do enjoy Jack as a character. But even in Kingdom Hearts, like, Jack is not like Santa Claus is like, get away from me. You kidnapped me 42 minutes ago. Get away from me. So that's just my own personal opinion. Go ahead, Ronnie.
Oh, so I just want to know if anybody else had anything else to say.
I love how this was just off the cast and we just went off.
Yeah, right?
The remainder of this podcast is brought to you by Ronnie's Opinion.
No, I want anybody else to
just general opinions
to say anything before I go.
No, I don't have anything. I want to hear what you want.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Yeah.
Well, there's nothing I really have to say right now. I mean, I'm
nothing about Jack Skellington, the character. Nothing
at the moment. Maybe later I'll have something to say.
I would just like to point out that this is the guy that always talks about character arcs. Meanwhile, this is one of the biggest character arcs you've had in a movie, with him being like, no, this is what we got to do. I'm this superior being in Halloween Town, but I'm tired of doing the same thing over and over again. Yes, I'm really good at it, but I'm sick of doing it. Let me venture out and try something new.
I love that line. He's like, we only have 365 days until next Halloween.
Yeah. I think that, yes, he might be unlikable because he might be a little whiny, but when you're really, really good at something, when you're the best at something, you always want to challenge yourself and become the best at something else. You want to change it up, give yourself a challenge, and I think that's what he was doing. Was he was going, listen, I know I'm the best, but I need to do something else because I'm tired of doing the same thing over and over again. And then I get bored, and now I'm just doing it out of boredom instead of out of love. So I think he went to go venture out to find a new love, but realized, you know what? No, I do love what I do because I'm very good at it.
I just feel like for Jack, he's going to try the same thing in a year or two. Like that just
holiday.
I feel like in a year.
Well, he can't become a turkey.
All right,
but he's got no meat to him.
Also, he wouldn't survive the holiday. At least he could come back.
Yeah.
But for me, like Jack Skellington seems like the kind of guy that, he gets this wonderful sense of like, no, Halloween. I am the Pumpkin King. This is my thing. This is what I'm here to do.
The Pumpkin King.
Beautiful, Danny Elfman.
Thank you.
Like I can see if they ever did make a sequel, I feel like the sequel would be in like 2 years. He's like, I'm bored again. That's just for me. That's just the kind of
perfect example of a movie that you don't touch.
They wanted
that
to.
Sounds like a direct-to-video Disney.
They have tried.
They've tried
numerous times to do
a
sequel or some sort of spin-off or anything like that.
Yeah, Chris Sarandon has said he's down to come back.
They talked about. They had the video game.
Chris Sarandon.
Oogie's Revenge.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. Which is basically the sequel, right?
Which is basically exactly. I don't think you should touch this movie ever. However,
if everyone that was involved in the first one came back,
I would be
at
okay.
Least tolerate it.
I would definitely go. Watch.
What I know you would really be okay with if Disney World ever created a Halloween Town.
That'd be wonderful.
Well, they already,
I don't know why
they
haven't.
They redo the Haunted Mansion from Halloween to Christmas time, and they theme it to
Nightmare.
To Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay.
I don't know if they still do it. They used to do like a whole Halloween event called Jack's Not So Scary. No, I'm sorry, that's Mickey's Not So Scary. But Jack Skellington was like a big factor in that. But I agree. Like it's you couldn't do like a ride or anything on this because it's just I guess with the theming to it, it just would feel like who wants to do this in July? I don't know if it would work.
I think Ronnie would.
I would. I'm just saying. It's just,
you could do a little roller coaster. You have the sled, and then you have the quote unquote reindeer in Zero, and those are your carts and everything. Yeah. And it could go through Halloween Town though.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
All right, going down the cast list. Who's
next?
next?
All right, so we did Chris Sarandon and we did Danny Elfman, who both do Jack Skellington. Then we have the great Catherine O'Hara as Sally.
Danny Elfman does more than that, though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's also Beryl.
Beryl, one of the trick-or-treaters.
And the clown with the tearaway face.
With the tearaway face, which I'm sure you love.
Oh, is he really?
No. Yeah.
Ronnie just likes the clown with the tearaway face because it's actually a clown just disfiguring himself. Like, get out of here, clown.
The cast for this, the voice cast for this movie, nobody is like a huge star that you immediately recognize the voice. So like, now that I know it's Chris Sarandon,
although William Hickey, that is one as soon as I heard him, I'm like, oh my god, that's
been the same for years.
Great William Hickey.
But like now that I know it's Chris Sarandon, I recognize that Prince Humperdinck, voice there. Catherine O'Hara though, like.
No, I
know a little bit of there, but I mean, you're talking about one of the greatest like comedians of all time.
She really is.
She's fantastic. And then you have
her.
She's up there with Cloris Leachman as one of the best.
Absolutely. So Rob just mentioned
Kahn
William Hickey plays Dr. Finkelstein.
Dr. Finkelstein.
Glenn Shaddix. For anyone who doesn't know, he was Lotho in Beetlejuice. He is the mayor of Halloween Town. Ken Page plays Oogie Boogie. Ed Ivory is the voice of Santa Claus.
Sandy Claus.
And we have the great Paul Rubens as Locke, one of the other trick-or-treaters. And I forgot to mention, Catherine O'Hara also voices the third trick-or-treater, Shock. And then the great voice character actor Frank Welker is the voice of Zero.
And don't forget Greg Proops.
Yeah, I see that here. He's just one of the, he does various voices.
The fact that long ago Greg Proops was doing anything to earn money is impressive. I had no idea he'd been around for that long.
I did not know that.
And Patrick Stewart, who did prologue and epilogue.
Sir Patrick Stewart.
Not at the time.
I haven't heard because it says it's on the soundtrack album, but I still never actually. Did you ever hear the actual voicing of what he says?
Oh yeah.
No, I've never heard it.
No, I'm just wondering because I know it's only on the site. It wasn't included in the movie.
Something about Make It So #2.
It's right out of Ted, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Everyone loves an Apache helicopter.
They have machine guns, but so let's talk about some of the characters. I know we definitely talked about Jack plenty of time, but arguably might even be the more recognizable character of this movie is Sally. Sally has a fan base all her own at this point. She's got merchandise. She's a very popular character.
I was disagreeing with your first statement.
Which one was that?
The most recognizable.
I would argue that Sally is just as, if not really. You guys are both shaking your heads at me.
To me, she's number 4.
Number 4.
Number 4. You would go Jack, Oogie Boogie, Zero, then Sally.
Which one's Zero?
You have her below the dog.
Oh, the dog.
The dog. Recognizable.
If somebody has to go, which one is that? Then I don't know if your list is 1,000%.
No, but I gotta admit, I always confuse Sally with the one from Corpse Bride.
Oh, really?
Yes,
yeah,
I always
do that. But I know Sally has.
I agree with you. I think Oogie Boogie is probably up there with Jack. But I think Sally is because when I see pictures of tons of women dress up.
Big
as
cosplay.
Cosplay.
I agree. I'm thinking more. Because who's gonna dress up as Zero? You know what I mean, though. Yeah. So I think because me when I picture Jack, I'm picturing Zero next to him.
Yeah.
Every time I think of Jack Skellington, I think of Zero.
Oh, I always think.
To be honest with you,
if I think Jack Skellington, I think of him on that the bridge,
the
Kirby Bridge with Sally. Yeah. Oh. Not Kirby Bridge, Kirby Hill. Thank you.
Yeah.
But
one that's folding out.
Yeah. But I said,
Zero is there first with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might agree with Ronnie on this.
In all the promotional photos or stuff like DVD covers and everything, it's always him and Sally. I mean, there.
As far as I don't know. To me personally, I feel like he's a bigger, more well. But when you think of people, that's who I think of before Sally. But as far as in terms of I don't know what I'm trying to say, but You always hear the phrase Jack and Sally. You know, it's like two peas in the pod, Jack and Sally, you know, and everything. So like I get where you're coming from, but I would still put me personally, Oogie Boogie and Zero ahead of her.
Yeah,
I could argue switching
you could argue
Zero
it, yeah.
and Sally, but I will be dead
for
set
me,
on
like,
1 and 2.
I've been to Comic-Con, I've been to conventions, and there's always somebody dressed as Sally. You'll see a handful of them. Less Jacks than any. I've never seen an Oogie Boogie cosplay.
Jack's also a tough one to do because you got to either do the mask over the head. Some people do the makeup, but Sally, it's clearly
Sally's
just
a doable character.
We did see one. I don't know if I saw it at an actual convention or just saw pictures of it, where somebody did stilts and long arms for Jack and had like a mount for the head.
Yeah.
Where was that?
That was at Billy Joe's.
I thought that was just a random.
No,
was it Jack?
Oh, wait,
it was
that's
Jack.
right.
That was right.
Jack.
I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah, when we went for Halloween to Billy Joe's up in Newburgh.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but for me, I like any convention, especially around this time, like New York Comic Con and stuff like that.
New York Comic Con's always next week. There you go.
Yep. So it's always close
sure
to
there'll be a bunch of Halloween.
Yeah, you're gonna see a lot of stuff for that. And Sally is a very interesting character. She's very soft-spoken in this movie. She's a rag doll who's basically Dr. Finkelstein's not only his creation but surrogate daughter type and lab assistant. And it always freaked me out that she would just take parts of her body off like nothing was happening.
Yeah.
And it freaks me out even more that Oogie Boogie obviously has a foot fetish.
Yeah.
Because he's like, wow, look at that leg. I have no further questions.
I do remember the scene where she falls out of her tower window and kind of breaks apart. I remember that creeped me out when I was a kid.
Because you just
I didn't know she was filled with straw. I thought she was a real person.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
I'm a real girl. Nope.
And of course, at the end, her and Jack get together because he realized he was in love with her all along.
Oh yeah.
She makes no secret that she's completely infatuated with him. Like she sneaks out to see him and watches him singing and all that stuff.
She's also she finds out that she's the one that doesn't want him to go off and with this whole Christmas idea.
She's the only one. Because apparently she's psychic. I never got that as a kid.
Yeah.
But she has visions of how bad it's going to be. And she's also trying to kill Dr. Finkelstein. She keeps putting the poison in his food.
She keeps putting the poison, but he's not going to die from it.
Oh, okay, that makes it all right. Going down the character list, we have Dr. Finkelstein, and he's the mad scientist. Very every mad scientist trope you can kind of put into a character. He kind of shows them, but he's also got his own unique kind of style and flair to him. I do love the scenes of him creating the reindeer and stuff like that.
I love it when he opens up
scratches
his head and scratches his brain. I love that.
It's even better when he takes out half of it to make a new wife.
That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mrs. Finkelstein? Did they never say? They never
don't
mention.
But I do enjoy. He's listed in the credits only as evil scientist. And only mentioned
that's what I'm looking up right now. I didn't even.
He's
know
only called Dr. Finkelstein once.
Oh, really?
I never noticed that. That's really funny.
But I love the next character.
Glenn Shaddix as
the
mayor of Halloween.
Yeah.
It's just
all right. So why?
The man just looks so defeated. I just love it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but we get the opening number. This is Halloween. Everything's going well, and then he arrives to Jack Skellington's house, rings the bell. He's smiling. He's humming the song. And 5 seconds go by. No one answers, and his head turns around, and it's like, oh my god, oh my god. And then again, as we said before, my favorite line is I'm only an elected official. I can't make decisions by myself.
And even better, he's shaped as candy corn.
Yeah.
So you can't go wrong with that. Candy corn is one of those things that I only eat during Halloween. I can't have it otherwise.
Yeah.
If somebody was like, Merry Christmas, here's some candy corn, I'd be like, Merry Christmas, I hate you. Get me some real candy. But obviously as adults we get the Two-Face thing where he's sniveling and he's cowardly. I do enjoy the mayor. I think he's really funny. Mm-hmm. He has some of the best lines. This movie's not a comedy by any stretch of the imagination. It's much more dramatic and I'd even argue a little action packed at the end. But if there's gonna be a funny line, there's fair chance.
There's humorous moments.
It's coming from either the mayor, Oogie Boogie, or Lock, Shock, and Barrel.
Yes, I agree.
Those are your comedic
I have to say, I find myself smiling through the whole movie more than I do laughing.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree
there's so
with
many
that.
moments that are they're so sweet and so beautifully done and such deep, heartfelt, sincere emotion in each moment. That's so rare to see in a film. I don't laugh as much as I do just beam with just radiant energy from this.
I agree. We have, all right, obviously one of the scariest Disney villains of all time, Ken Page as Oogie Boogie. Oogie Boogie still scares the crap out of me. I'm an adult.
Yeah.
I'm married. I have my own house. I have a mortgage. Scared of the bug monster guy.
Are you scared of your mortgage?
I just want to. I want to establish: can Oogie Boogie venture out of his lair? Because this is where I got like
they make it seem like he's actually in prison there.
Well, but it's like he's like, don't you bring him to your leader Oogie Boogie, and I'm like, okay. So they bring him to Oogie Boogie, but like, so what is Oogie Boogie's? What does he do?
I think he's just more of the outcast of it, and so
that's what I got from that.
He's the greatest outcast among, because they're all outcasts.
They're all outcasts, but I think it's more just he's pure evil outcast. While we're scary,
bugs.
we're horror, and everything, but we only do it, when it's time for us to go scare people during Halloween.
There's a sweetness behind them, whereas there's evil.
Exactly, like
bugs.
he's like, no, I just am here to wreak havoc and be evil 24/7, 365. While they're like, well, we're really just here for a month or so,
Yeah, so Oogie Boogie, even though it seems like he's the town outcast, like he does participate in the Halloween song, This Is Halloween.
He's the moon.
He's what does it say? The shadow of the moonlit night.
But apparently, is that him? Is that him? It's not the voice.
Tell.
It's not Ken Page, or at least where he just
in Oogie's Revenge, a different voice is used, but supposedly it is like that's him. That's supposed to be
because I recognize obviously the silhouette of Oogie Boogie, and I'm like, okay, that looks like Oogie Boogie, but it doesn't sound like him.
Ghost, yeah.
So that's where I was always confused with the storyline. Was like, what exactly is Oogie Boogie? Like,
so supposedly like he's the boogeyman, like the scary monster. With a gambling addiction,
and a very big gambling,
and a severe do-it-yourself type mentality, because he's got some weird things in that chamber of him. It looks like his house is just pieces that he just pulled together, Especially, I still love the scene where they put Santa down the chute, and it's like king, clang, king, just going around. But he still scares the crap out of me, and just like. And then when you find out he's just bugs, it's even worse because bugs are gross.
Yeah.
But going down the list, I think that's like the biggest. And then obviously we have Ed Ivory as Santa Claus / Sandy Claus. Really just there to be Santa.
We can talk about Lock, Stock, and...
I was going to talk about all three of them at the end.
Oh, okay.
All in one shot, because in the cast list they're all different places.
True.
Yeah.
But, Santa Claus obviously... I'm going to call him... Because for me, he is Sandy Claus. He tells Jack the spirit of everything, and he gives him a little present at the end with the snow. I always like that moment when it starts snowing, and they're like, and then they all start doing, what's this? Which is fun. And then obviously we have Lock, Shock, and Barrel, who have probably
Ed Ivory does a little bit more.
And what?
He's also the narrator in the beginning, Ed Ivory.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
How Ronnie just has been correcting us throughout.
No, that's fine. That's why we wanted him on for the episode. We were very excited. But Lock, Shock, and Barrel have one of my favorite songs, which is Kidnap
Santa Claus.
I do thoroughly enjoy it. It's so violent.
Catchy, though. It's just like... That song starts, and I'm just like, I can't skip this song.
Yeah, right? Like, if I ever think of them doing, like, a musical adaptation, like a Broadway adaptation, that's always the song that comes to my head really quick, like, because I would love to see the visuals of it on, like, a Broadway show.
Yeah, I would love that. There's a great video on YouTube. I'm not sure where it was. It was at, like, a screening of the movie, but it was... Danny Elfman and Catherine O'Hara were there live, like singing the songs, and they come to this song, and then Paul Rubens walks out on stage, and the three of them perform this song live. It's fantastic.
Oh, it's so good. Now, speaking of sounds and the soundtrack,
we got to talk Danny Elfman, because he is, in my opinion, just as responsible for the success of this movie as anyone else.
Oh, yes. 10,000%. So I'm going to go through the list. We can discuss at least one song each, like our favorite song afterwards. I'm going to go through this really quick, though, and then we'll discuss. So we have the overture, or the score, the opening. We have This Is Halloween, Jack's Lament, Dr. Finkelstein in the Forest, which is another score.
Just the score.
Yeah. What's This? The Town Meeting Song, Jack and Sally Montage, which is a score, Jack's Obsession, Kidnap the Santa Claus, Making Christmas, Nabs, which is the score. That's another. That's the trailer. I always think of the trailer.
I know, you're right, yeah.
Oogie Boogie Song, Sally's Song, Christmas Eve montage again score, Poor Jack, To the Rescue score, Final Reprise, closing end credits score.
There's so many to choose from.
I
Ronnie, how do you do it?
Because to pick any one means that the others are lesser.
I agree.
I can't do that.
No, it's picking a favorite. A favorite does not imply that it is superior to another. Look at we just did our episode on Venom: Let There Be Carnage. Some of us gave that movie a 3, and not because it was a great movie, but just because we enjoyed it. So we'll talk the big ones, like the big ones of this. Obviously, This Is Halloween is iconic for the franchise.
Yeah.
It sets the tone for the movie.
Have you heard the quote unquote new version?
I have not, and
Marilyn Manson does.
Oh God!
I mean, this was a few years ago, in 2006.
Didn't
they came out with Fall Out Boy did What's This, actually.
Oh, okay.
But it was on the same exact disc in 2006. They kind of just revamped it with a little bit more current type people. Marilyn Manson did This Is Halloween. Panic at the Disco did as well on the same one. And then Fiona Apple did Sally's Song on there.
So
I've actually never heard those.
Oh yeah, I've heard one or two of them.
Yeah,
we got Jack's Lament, which is just a fantastic. Just it tells you everything you need to know about Jack.
I'm humming along here.
Yeah, right.
This was a bad idea, guys.
All earworms. What's This? Again, another song like from the trailer, and that's like
What's This and Making Christmas were like
the songs
implanted into my brain before I actually saw the movie.
Yeah, so if I'm going to pick any favorites, it's those two combined. It's just the way they flow together.
Which one was that? Sorry.
What's This and Making Christmas.
Okay.
The Town Meeting song, which I find to be a slightly more forgettable. Like it's not going to be the one on the soundtrack that I'm like, gotta hear this one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Jack's Obsession, that's a fun one too. It's not as... Again,
I'm so confused. I thought we were all going over our top right now.
I wasn't sure, because you guys all yelled at me, like, how do we pick one? Do you want to do that? All right, Ronnie. Top song from the Nightmare Before Christmas soundtrack.
No pressure, Ronnie.
Jack's Obsession.
Okay. That's why you stopped me. All right, I got you.
Well, because I was confused, because you talked about yours, and then all of a sudden you started going through the list.
I just started
again.
going through the list, because when I said, favorite song, everybody was like, how could you do such a thing, Rob? But
see, I like to be out there.
But
that's why
me to pick.
That's why I'm saying Jack's Obsession. I think when everyone hears Night Before Christmas, it's What's This and This Is Halloween. They don't think of any other songs or scores or anything like that. And Jack's Obsession, I think, is the catapult to the movie.
That's fair. Sean, do you have a favorite?
This is tough. I'll go this on when I listen to these songs in my car, because I have them all on a playlist.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to lie, every now and then I'll skip one. Just because, I've heard it. I've heard it a bunch.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
I like how everything we say, we have to look at Roddy, put our hands up,
don't kill me. I can tell you this, the one that I never skip, and I'm going to say it right now, the one I never skip, Kidnap the Sandy Claus. I don't know what it is about that song, but that one I love that one. I love all of them, but that one I think might be my favorite song of the whole movie.
Rob?
Whenever I do think of the movie, I think I was originally going to say This Is Halloween, because that's just the one that pops into my brain all the time, and I just hum it all the time. But I think the Oogie Boogie song might be my favorite one, because it's just so awful and creepy and horrible, and he's such a terrible person, and it's so dark and gothic.
Yeah.
And I love that about it.
It does have one of my favorite lines, though, when Santa Claus goes, well, what are you going to do? I'm going to do the best I can. I don't know what it is, but it's just like so
that
smooth.
Deep bassy voice, too.
Yeah, but that was a song that I didn't appreciate until I was older, because I was so scared of Oogie Boogie.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of these songs you really could appreciate till you were much older.
No, no. But I think What's This and Making Christmas, I think, are the most easily acceptable by children, especially who see this movie. We're like, we like Christmas, and look, they're making Christmas because, oh my God, that duck has no head.
Yeah.
I think one of the things about these songs is why it doesn't resonate always with children also is because they don't follow distinct patterns to them where there's a setup and a bridge and a chorus and repetition. It's very operatic in their constructions, and I think it challenges you to appreciate them, and I think that's why so many of us, we didn't appreciate them until we were older and we could handle something more complex than just Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like, Be Our Guest or Friend Like Me or you know, I Just Want to Be King. These are not songs that
these are very strict.
Straight there. And Danny Elfman just hit it out of the park with all of these songs. And fun fact, I mean, it was disagreements between him and Tim Burton during this movie that led to the fact they didn't work together again. They skipped, Ed Wood.
Yeah.
They did not work together for that, but he obviously returned and worked with Tim Burton on Mars Attacks. But they got into heated beefs on this movie.
And whenever you think of, I think most of us couldn't name asking around, most people couldn't name 5 composers. But if they had to name a composer, I bet everyone could name Danny Elfman because he's just such a household name.
Danny Elfman, those are the easy
John
ones.
Williams,
Now Hans Zimmer nowadays.
I feel like Danny Elfman doesn't get the respect he deserves because obviously everybody jokes with the Family Guy joke, with the Star Wars joke, but just look at some of the iconic scores this man has done. Beetlejuice, Batman.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Yeah. This might be his greatest work of his entire career. This soundtrack. So
he did Summer School. That's funny.
Oh yeah,
I love that movie.
I had a CD of like the top Tim Burton soundtrack songs, and I used to play it just endlessly, and it was. Yeah, like all of these that we're talking about right here, because he's just that talented.
Men in Black, Flubber. I love that movie. Sorry, Good Will Hunting though, like a lot.
He can do some.
The first
more...
Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Hulk,
Big Fish,
Charlie the Chocolate. Now we're just naming things.
Yeah. Well, Big Fish is actually worth.
Salvation.
Big Fish is worth mentioning just because it spawned the musical Big Fish 2.
Yeah,
they did a musical of that.
Yeah. It was a big Broadway show. It didn't do well, but it's being redone in a lot of high schools.
Oh, interesting.
Well, I think that. Anything else we want to say about Nightmare Before Christmas?
Yes, yes. Ronnie wants the next few hours.
Ronnie, please.
Have you guys heard about the connection with Corpse Bride and Frankenweenie?
No.
And Nightmare Before Christmas?
Other than they're all dead.
It's all the same characters. So in Frankenweenie, you have the dog and what the heck is the guy's name? Victor.
Yeah.
Right? The dog dies, becomes Zero.
Yes, I have heard that one.
And then Victor grows up, right? And ends up turning into Jack Skellington as well.
Corpse Bride match into this. He becomes the Corpse Bride first, then Jack Skellington.
Yeah. And and then Sally's supposedly the Corpse Bride too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
One thing we didn't harp on was the again the lack of respect that Henry Selick gets for this movie, and for anyone who obviously has Netflix, there's a series on there called The Movies That Made Us, and they did a Christmas themed one last Christmas, I believe, and the two ones they did were Night Before Christmas and Elf. So I didn't watch the Elf one because I really don't care about that.
Oh, I love Elf.
I know what we're doing in a few months.
The Nightmare Before Christmas one, they obviously harped on a lot on the fact that yes, this is a story by Tim Burton. Yes, this was Tim Burton's idea. But in like the 2 years that they made this movie, he really only appeared like a couple times because he was doing other movies. He was doing Batman Returns. He was doing Ed Wood. So he wasn't, there doing the work. But because his name's above the title, everybody always assumes that Tim Burton directed this movie. Right. And I really feel like that's a disservice to Henry Selick. It's also a disservice to Danny Elfman because I think they deserve a little more kudos than Tim Burton does. Now, I'm not saying Tim Burton doesn't deserve any respect for this movie. Again, it's his idea.
I'm glad that Selick at least had Coraline because that is just it's so brilliant and so dark.
I think Tim Burton also produced James and the Giant Peach.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I want to.
I believe so. Him and Selick must have continued having a decent working relationship. So it didn't hurt there, but. This is like, I remember, again, as I said, growing up with all the old Disney cartoons on VHS, this was always like one of the trailers and just, always implanted from the director of Batman, Edward Scissorhands, comes this new tale and,
Dumbo.
Still haven't seen it.
I don't want to talk about recent Tim Burton.
Oh, no.
All right, I got a question, though, for Ronnie. Out of all the characters in this film, which one do you connect with most?
Which one do I connect with most?
Or identify with? Because you clearly have a deep, deep connection to this film.
You know, I don't think I really connect with one in particular. I think it's really a lot of people that connect with this movie connect with the theme of the movie and just the characters in general of being like those outcasts, looked over, you know. I mean, we talked about earlier. You go to Walmart, Home Depot, all these places, you don't see anything for Halloween. It's all...
You literally you have like
summer's over. All right, it's Christmas.
You have a 2-week window.
I was happy to see in Home Depot though the talking Jack Skellington 6-foot figure.
If you want to go Halloween, you go to Spirit Halloween.
Yeah, that's which is only seasonal.
It's basically August to September.
So I think it's just the fact that.
So thematically, what do you connect with then?
I think it's just the whole outcast being overlooked. Like, you know, I know you're here. But you're just here. You know what I mean? Like you're not out there. Everyone sees, everyone interacts, everyone knows who you are and appreciates you. Halloween and like the theme of Halloween, I think, you know, it's just kind of pushed aside. It's like a day thing. Christmas is like an entire month. Thanksgiving, I feel like, is like a week or so because of Black Friday and Cyber Monday as well and everything. You know, so I think it's just the fact that it's one day, it gets looked over just like this outcast in society gets looked over. Yes.
Huh.
I also want to say, I think one other thing this movie gives to people is the beauty and art of the stop motion animation.
Yes.
A lost art. I mean, what? Coraline was a stop motion, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was the most recent stop motion.
That movie scares me.
Paranorman also.
Paranorman. Okay. So I mean, it's still there, but
it's so rare.
Rare, and I mean, it's just such a beautiful way of doing things. Because
was Kubo in the 2-string stop motion, or was that animated?
I don't think so.
No. But again, it harkens back to that, you know, Ray Harryhausen, as we said before. And it's just so wonderful to watch, and it reminds me because again we don't get much of that. We won't get much of the traditional hand-drawn animation anymore. All we get is this computer-generated animation. You know, the last hand-drawn animation movie I think that came out was Princess and the Frog.
Yeah,
and that's over 10 years ago.
I mean, this movie it's just crazy to think of the work that went into this movie. You had 20 different stages that were being used at the same time because of everything needing to be done. You had almost 110,000 frames.
Yeah.
You know, shot for this film. I don't know how much of you know what normal or whatever is, you know,
7.
but yeah, probably to be honest with you. So I think people just don't appreciate the work.
No.
Like your everyday Joe does not appreciate the work that was put into this movie, that people that like us kind of like dive into these movies and pick them apart and everything. They don't understand the work that went through it.
I'm just looking up some other reasons. Kubo was stop motion animation. There are some things that are out there. They're few and far between, like Isle of Dogs. By Wes Anderson.
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Nick Park's movies, like the Wallace and Gromit films.
Yeah.
Too.
Chicken Run.
That's Nick Park, actually. Yeah.
Forgot about Chicken Run.
My Life as a Zucchini, which was recent. So I would say maybe about 2 stop motion movies a year.
Yeah.
You know,
they got it easy now.
Compare that with everything else that comes out within the rate.
Now here's another fun question for everybody. Same movie, same score, same characters.
Don't you dare say it.
But hand-drawn animation. Is this movie as successful as it is?
I don't think so. I would still watch it, and I would still find it enjoyable, but I definitely think that the stop motion adds so many layers to it.
Adds to the atmosphere, adds to the way the movie looks.
Now,
there is a beauty to that stop motion.
When is this being released? Are we talking about...
I'm talking about...
Same
it came
time?
at the same time, right in the middle of all the Disney animated movies. This is another... It's pure hand-drawn animation. Just, does it lose something? not being stop motion, or do you still think it would be the cult classic and it is today?
I think it would
I don't even know
lose
if
something.
cult classic is the right word because it's really not a cult classic. It's a true classic.
Back then, it would have lost it.
Okay.
Now, I feel like because of the fact that we are all privileged with visual effects, CGI, and everything like that, I feel like stop motion is like a very outdated art. Mm-hmm. It's a fantastic art, like we've seen in numerous movies. So I think if it came out now in the past 5 to 8 years, if it was hand-drawn, I think it would have helped the movie.
Okay. That came to me, and I was just like,
yeah.
I
just want to also point something out, that this movie is only 76 minutes, yet it packs in 10 times the amount that Venom does in 90 minutes.
We got to do Star City rating.
Yes, we do.
Paul, lead that off.
We're going to do Star City rating.
Yeah.
Let off. There you go. I'm going to give this movie a 4. It is definitely...
He doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm just kidding.
Rob?
Sorry. No, the 4 is not evidenced by quality or anything like that. It's just from my own personal preference.
Yeah.
It is not saying that this movie is, well, I don't like how the stop motion in the one scene.
Yeah.
No, for me, it's just like, again, it's all about when can I put on this movie? Can I enjoy it when it, like the watchability of it. For me, like I could put on A Nightmare Before Christmas, but I only ever think to put it on during the right season. It's not a movie that so it's getting warm outside. You know what really would help? I'm gonna put on some Nightmare.
So that lessens your star rating?
Just for this particular movie, yes. Not in general, not really, but for seasonal movies, for movies that fall into a certain category for me and make them only watchable during that time. Just for me personally, like if somebody wants, like in the middle of like April, is like, hey, Nightmare Before Christmas, like, cool, enjoy, you do you. But for me, like that's where this movie kind of sits with me. I probably could do a 4.5 just because it is so good, but I think it just traumatized me as a child, and it takes it down a notch for me. But it's a fantastic movie, and arguably one of the best Disney movies in the lexicon. Rob?
5, easily. Yeah, this is a masterpiece. First to last frame. It's not for all tastes at first, but I think if you let it seep in after a while, you'll warm up to it. Because I do remember in the very, very beginning when I first saw it, I wanted to like it more than I did. And it grew over time, and now it's a work of art that I think should be studied, 50, 100, 200 years from now, because I think it's just that beautiful. This is something we always talked about on our other show, the difference between film and movies, and this is I think both. This is a movie and a film at the same time because it's just so artistically beautiful.
Sean?
Well said. I'm going to go like a 4.75, so right in the middle there between 4.5 and 5. It's very hard for me to give a 5 out of 5 on anything, but this movie is as close to perfect as you can be. Perfect story, perfect characters. The music is just unbelievably memorable. So it's just hair shy of perfect for me in terms of that, giving it a 5, but.
Because Jack doesn't have hair, so...
Well,
yeah.
there you go. But,
all right, and that wraps up our show.
Yeah. Ronnie, 6, 7? On a scale of 1 to 5?
10.
A 1 out of 1. No. Obviously, out of 5 and 5. I think... To me, when I'm rating a movie, I'm thinking, could I watch it again? Is there any lull in the movie? Right? Is there anything I think needs improvement with it? And to all those questions, obviously I have, but I could watch this any day, anytime. I can't think of one thing to correct anything, to change it. And it's just a work of art. Like,
well said.
It's just... It's hard to put into words, like, the gravitas of this movie. Like, it's... To Sean's point earlier, he talked about it being kind of sort of like a cult classic, which I think it is, because when people think of Halloween movies, right? That this movie might not be up there at the top, right? They think Halloween, they think horror movies, right? Christmas movies. You're definitely not thinking. Most people definitely do not think of this as a Christmas movie, even though it kind of is a Christmas movie.
It's before Christmas. It's the Nightmare Before Christmas. It's right before Christmas.
Do we consider Christmas Eve Christmas season though? Yes, we do.
All this time.
So I think it is like kind of a cult classic, but it's kind of getting out of that. I think it's becoming a lot more pop culture, and Jack Skellington is a pop culture icon nowadays. So yes, I would give this movie a 5.
All right, so that's
fan feedback Friday.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. That's going to lead us into Fan Feedback Friday. So obviously, given this time of the year, and also given the circumstances, this one we got a fair amount of interaction. Who should play the next James Bond?
Oh, I did answer this one.
Yeah, I liked yours. Actually,
I think I had the best answer.
You had a good one. So I'm not going to say who wrote, but I'm just going to go through the list.
I will.
We have Taron Egerton.
That was me.
That was Ronnie. Tom Hiddleston.
That was me.
I'm not sure if producer Melanie is saying obviously to Sean's choice or saying that it should be Sean Barrett.
I think it's obviously that Sean should be the next James Bond.
Henry Cavill and Idris Elba. Yeah, the biggest names are kind of there. So part of me wishes they would kind of maybe do an unknown.
I have a feeling it's going to be an unknown.
Yeah.
DiCaprio.
Yeah, I've never heard of him.
There's a lot of good British TV actors out there who I think could be a good Bond.
Casey Affleck.
Oh, shut
What? Get out of here.
How about
why don't we ruin another great character? Make Ben Affleck the next James Bond.
What's his name from Peaky Blinders? From this place,
Cillian Murphy.
Scarecrow.
Oh,
yeah, it's Cillian Murphy.
He's on the list, but I don't think.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy obviously is on the list. You know, there's a lot of options out there. Michael Fassbender,
Sir Patrick Stewart.
But it's going to be interesting to see where they go. Are they going to go for another young
Kingsley.
guy? Like, are they going to go for Bond at a younger age? Or are they going to go for Bond at sort of like that mid-30s, early 40s age? Like Pierce Brosnan was when he took over the role.
Yeah, I was going to say I think it's going to be a seasoned Bond.
It's going to be interesting. It really is. Especially, I think it's also going to depend on the success of this movie.
Yeah. Money talks, and
money
we
talks.
could say
it's definitely not Daniel Craig. He's done.
Yeah.
So that's official.
Yeah.
It's just, it's everybody forgets, the transition from Pierce Brosnan to Daniel Craig. A lot of that had to do with 9/11 and the after effects of like, okay, we can't make Bond a sort of jokey character anymore. We got to really make it a little more serious and stuff. So it's gonna be interesting to see what direction they go. But,
how much pressure do you think there is to have sort of a multicultural, more woke James Bond?
No.
I don't think.
What about Benedict Cumberbatch?
I would not say no to that. I just don't see him doing the action.
Yeah,
I got one here. I don't know how to say his name. Roger Jean Page from Bridgerton.
I've heard of him. I've heard of him.
Great.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see when we cross that bridge.
We'll see.
But if you guys are looking to participate in Fan Feedback Friday, you can find us on Facebook at Cinematic Adventures. You can also find our website, themisfitfaction.com. There you'll find links to all of our material, articles, all of our podcasts, pictures, biographies, all sorts of fun stuff. You can find us on YouTube, which is the Misfit Faction Media Network, on Instagram, The Misfit Faction, and on Twitter at Misfit Faction. We want to thank everybody for staying a little extra late tonight and jumping in with us, especially Ronnie and Rob.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we didn't have a choice.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, we said Nightmare Before Christmas. Ronnie was like, "Oh, cool. What time?"
I had fun.
I know you had fun. You're such a child. I love it.
Yep.
But that's gonna wrap us up for tonight. As always, I'm Paul.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Rob.
I'm Ronnie.
And we'll be back next week with, I believe we're doing James Bond next week.
Woohoo!
Or the week after. I don't know.
It's Halloween week.
I know, but when are we doing James Bond again? Next month?
November.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So next week, Halloween. I forgot. Thank you guys. Have a good night.